Hello, hello. Do a live. We're live. Right now we're doing fluff time. It is fluff time. But we are live. Hey, we got one watcher. I don't think it's me. Hey, Adam. I have my camera flipped. I didn't realize it. It is morning, and it is good. Glad for you to be numero uno. We're just fluffing right now. Ooh, I have to do some tweeting. You know how it be. Adam, you liking any of the books you read? I can't remember what all you grabbed, and if you already told us you liked them. I'm assuming you did. Don't mind me just doing some tweeting.
Those are my favorite, like memes.
Uh-oh. It's going to happen again.
Elon Musk might buy.
Stop it. I don't want people knowing what my algorithm is. Not my algorithm. Sweet. I'm glad you liked it. Appreciate it. Yeah, we're gonna. It's ready, so you'll be getting it soon. Actually, we have a couple extra pages that we're gonna save for. Oh, Jeff, if you're watching, oh, that might be my bad. It didn't send. I'm not taking any responsibility. That is Twitter's fault. So Elon Musk screwed that up, and no problem. I just have to send you an invite real fast. Hold on, our guest will be joining us momentarily. Anyway, what I was going to say. All right. It showed as sent, but apparently it just didn't work unless I send it to some random person, and then we're going to have a random third. That'd be kind of fun. All right, send it. Sadly. But we're doing fluff now anyway. So anyway, Adam, what I was about to say is that we got a couple extra pages that we were going to save for volume 2, which would be next year. But which, you know, that's fine. It's next year. But then I was like, wonder if I could do like a digital deluxe version and have slightly a couple extra pages in the digital version, which everyone gets anyway. I don't know. It was a thought. I don't know if I want to do that or not because the print's already done. I have the what we want is done. So now it's just what extra can we give people? Because extra is always fun, right? I like giving more than we necessarily need to. It's just more fun. All right, hold on. I'm doing some burden. Tweet. We are LIVE. I can't text and talk at the same time. Oh, he's here. Hold on, you're not in yet, Jeff. Give me uno momento, but our guest is here. Go Global Comics exclusive? Yeah, see, that's kind of what I was thinking. I like where your head's at. I might do that. Do you think people will get pissed at it, though? Maybe. Give me a sec, Jeff. I'll bring you in. I'm tweeting. Build a mountain. It's nice and easy to find you. Paste and post. All right. That's pretty much it. I could give a couple updates for BentBox, but I don't think it's necessary. I'd rather just get the show on the road. So, actually, Jeff, before I bring you in, we'll wait for a couple more people to show up. That way, we have a little bit more of an audience. But I'll bring you in anyway. Here, let's get a.
Hey.
Let's see what the mic situation is. That way, we can get you all set up so you're pretty.
Yeah. Does it sound okay?
You're cracking on a little bit.
That's what I was
like
worried about.
The mic might need to be pop.
Yeah, let me switch mics. Let's see if this one works a little better. Is that any better?
Beautiful.
Okay, we're gonna stick with that one then. I usually have like a like a microphone, like a recording line, but this morning I wanted to sit in this nice chair.
You look like a writer. You have a writer's chair.
That is the goal. This is where the comics are created. We have, the comics behind you. I don't know if you probably find inspiration that way. You just look at your comics behind you and you're like, I can do it, right?
I sit in a deep, dark cave with no inspiration and let my soul fill the page.
I've never asked them. I need to ask them about like Mad Cave Studios. I wonder what is the mad part of the cave, because I always get the sense of like going in, kind of losing your mind. And you brought up the dark cave. It's very much like a kind of madness of creativity, right? Like losing yourself in that process.
I don't know if I have a process. I'm not fancy enough yet to have a process, but I know I have I'll just go. I have to be in the mood to write, and the environment I don't even know what the right environment is, but I think I just go, okay, I'm ready to write now. No idea what it is. So it's like sometimes just like, okay, let me turn off all the lights. Let me have my laptop and I'll write. Otherwise, I don't know. But sometimes I just have to wait to get hit to write. Otherwise, it's like, I don't feel like doing anything.
It's kind of like when you find the inspiration, sometimes you have to follow it because you don't know if you'll have that same kind of, that same passion, that same urgency. And I think there's something to be said for, like when you love an idea, you have to kind of find the space to put that on paper. Like don't let the love grow cold. It's like falling in love. You fall in love with the story, you fall in love with an idea, like, you're going to spend time with it, right?
Yeah, that's why I've had a couple conversations with people where I'm like the time where I'm most inspired is like in the shower or on the toilet, and it's like this is a terrible time to be inspired right now. I don't have my on the toilet you got your phone typically, but like in the shower I'm like, how do I write down any of these ideas?
Yeah.
And so like I just come sprinting out of the bathroom to a phone or a laptop, and it's like, okay,
hopefully
here are the stupid ideas.
You wipe first. I don't want to make it too gross here, but hopefully, you take care of business first.
Most of the time. I think I have a high percentage of wiping first. We only got 2 watchers, so that's fine. And Adam's one of them. He knows me, so we're good.
Okay.
But we can do we'll wait, see if any more people want to trickle in. we had a con over the weekend. Went pretty well. So it was a local con in Punta Gorda called Reflecticon. And I kind of invited you at one point just to see if you'd be interested because it's not super far from you. But then again, I'm kind of glad you didn't come because
oh, really?
no offense to Rico if he sees this, but Rico put it on. He owns a local comic book shop up in Punta Gorda.
Mhm.
He's the OG because he had put us on, or filled his shelves with BentBox, which has been awesome. He's constantly sold out of our stuff, so we constantly have to ship him new books, which is really cool. It's honestly it's one of those weird things where it's not fame, but at the same time, there's a bit of like a name recognition happening in Punta Gorda. So like we haven't been to too many cons, but because all of our books are up in his shop, because he's one of the few people who carries us, we went to this con and we're wheeling and dealing and talking to people, and they're like, "Oh, you wrote Artificial? Oh, BentBox, I know you. I have Wingless." Or whatever. Or like, "Oh, cool, you're Chris. I've never met you, but I love Artificial." Blah, blah, blah. So it's really cool. And it's like the majority of people that came to the con saw the booth and just knew who we were because they already bought Orium from, Star Million's book, Orium. They bought that from him or whatever. It's kind of cool. So anyway, we're pretty big in Punta Gorda. So let everyone understand.
Will that be the new tagline instead of "Get Back"?
Pretty big in Punta Gorda.
That hey, that's the market. And you're reaching it.
I'll take it. So, hey, they're investing in the company, and I love them for it. But the main reason why I am glad you didn't come was so it's his first con, and it was the most indie of cons I've ever seen, in the most beautiful way. But it was just like at a restaurant that his buddy owns, that basically that's closed on Sundays. So he just kind of cleared the room, put all the tables in the back. There's like maybe 10 people there, 10 like vendors, a couple indie comic book people, a guy from, he owns something called Swerveverse, kind of like the idea of BentBox. He has his own thing, but he was there. Anyway, it was pretty fun, but very bare bones, very snug. We cram packed our van full of everything we bring for a normal con, the 10-foot banner, all the bells and whistles. And I get there and I'm like,
the best fit.
I don't have room for any of this. So we just put the tablecloth on, one row of comics, and that was it. No stickers, no post. We didn't have room for anything, which is kind of cool. I was like, all right, let's see how we do. Did pretty well. So
that's awesome.
I'll take it, Rico. I appreciate it. But I will say, we just didn't have room for anyone else to come. I was like hoping more people could come, but I told Rico, I said, let's do this next year, and let's figure it out. Let's really, I was like, if you want, I can help. We can invest in it. We can get a nice venue. I was like, because we actually had a decent turnout. So anyway, next year, Reflecticon, Punta Gorda.
I would have been too large for the venue. Like my presence. I don't know how tall you are, Chris. We've never met in real life.
I don't know if your head would have fit through the door. It wasn't a very big door.
It's actually the shoulders and the stomach, less the head.
You gotta go sideways. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm 6'2", man. I'm one of the taller guys. So I barely fit myself, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun. So that was yesterday. We had our monsters on show, which I know Jeff and I have talked behind the scenes a couple times about the idea of like, this book technically isn't out yet, but I have the print. So
by the way, Chris, if you'll indulge me to share the 28 pages I've read of our monsters, because I haven't slept and it afforded me the opportunity to finally get into our monsters. And I'm not lying.
Doesn't sound like a good combo, though. Like, I can't sleep. Let me read a horror book.
I was like disturbed in a very effective way. It was definitely more disturbing than I thought it would be, in a great way. I was like, and it's a little spoilerish, but you have the narrator going throughout, and I actually like stopped it, at a certain point, because it's just the art is so impactful. Right. And those reveals that happen at the end of each page, it's so simple and minimalistic, but really those last panels just really are unsettling, and in a good way. So I was very impressed by the art, very impressed by just the ability in one page to tell these stories that made me feel something eerie, and have kind of the through line of a narrator throughout it. I didn't finish it yet because I did get unsettled, and I'm like, this, but in a good way. Like it's, I took a break. So
good.
But very
I
impressed
appreciate it.
by it. Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'll be very honest to our two viewers at the moment. I not really took a risk, but like I saw Luna's art, and I had like one of those, like, I have a vision of something that we could do with this that would be pretty cool and unique and different. And so I reached out to her. She was on board. We went ahead. I compiled all the stuff. I made once again, like you said, a bit of a spoiler, because the Kickstarter technically says no narration between stories, which is true, because I don't want to give people the assumption that it's going to be like a through line throughout the story. But I did put a through line in the story or in the book that's almost like a meta through line. It's like outside of the book.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's kind of an experiment, and that's how I pitched it at the con. People were looking at it like, "What's this?" And I only allowed them to read like the first 3 pages, and I'm like, "This is kind of an experiment." I was like, "I'm not gonna lie, this is different than what you'd expect." I had honestly, it was one of our best sellers. I almost ran out of everything I brought of our monsters to the con, because people were like, "That's so weird and unique," and let me try. Especially it's Halloween. That's another like easy pitch.
Oh, it's perfect
for
Halloween. Yeah,
it's Halloween, it's spooky time. Let's do it. But thank you, I appreciate it. We'll see how it is received. I am praying it's received well. I don't have high hopes for it, but that's probably the imposter syndrome talking.
I think it is, Chris, and
I like it.
I'd be honest with you at this point, and I wouldn't tell you stuff. And obviously, I wanted to work with you in BentBox because I know the quality of storytelling in comics, but I think Luna's art, it takes on this like kind of charcoal nature to it, and the grays and black just become so immersive and ominous over the course of the pages. And like you said, without spoiling it, I started to get the kind of Tales from the Crypt, Twilight Zone vibe where you have that type of person, and so I kind of got that inspiration there. So I definitely agree with you. And not just telling you this because I know you. I think it is unique because it kind of commits to what it wants to be. Like you kind of went all in on this vision of it, and like it takes guts to do it, but it really does. I think it works. It really does for what you're going for.
Thank you. Is it like a compilation of one shots that build on each other? No. I don't know how to explain it. To be honest, you're gonna find it's just single page horror stories. They're all no page really involves any of the other pages. However, I almost forced a narrative that I think goes well, and it's not really a way to explain it except until you read it, and then you'll be like, "Oh, okay, I see." Anyway, so I think everyone will like it. Everyone will love it. That's my plan. Well, all right. Go ahead.
And just a quick spoiler to help. Is that Adam?
Yeah, it's Adam.
To help Adam out to help him out more than you are right now, because I feel he deserves the kindness. I would say the titles are very purposeful. So the titles of the story are very much kind of revealing. They have multiple layers. So that's why I was impressed. You put I could tell you put a lot of thought into it to both have them be distinct, each one-page story, but also have this kind of connective vibe to it that carries throughout. So definitely something different than what I've seen.
Cool. That's what I was hoping for. I'm like, I have an idea that I don't think I've seen before, so let's give it a shot. And then I was telling someone at the con, I'm like, they ended up, it was one of the other vendors. I actually just gave him a copy. So I was like, here, take a copy, see what you think. He read it while there was a little bit of a lull. And he came back, he goes, this is really weird. But he was like, it's in a good way. He goes, I've never seen anything like this. It's cool. He liked it. And then we kind of started just talking, and I did say, I would like to eventually, because volume 1, my like goal for it is like volume 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 and then turn it into like almost a coffee table art book that you could put it out on Halloween.
Oh, perfect. Perfect for that.
That's my goal. That's my long shot goal, is maybe in a couple years after we have a couple volumes, we'll just have like this really cool thing that on Halloween people will put this thick, like creepy book out, and that's where my head's at. So we'll see.
I love it.
And Adam does need a lot of help. He does. I know. All right. And then I would like to apologize to Jeff and audience for the bare bones stream aesthetic. As many people know, if anyone's watching that's also like a content creator or anything like that, StreamYard decided to rob us blind. They just upped their prices like crazy. And this is the one we were using. And so now we just canceled it. So this is the free version. So you have like the stupid StreamYard logo on the top, and you got these dumb blue circles, and there's no BentBox logo or anywhere. But anyway, we are BentBox Comics, and we are bare bones today until we can get Streamlabs set up, which will have a lot of bells and whistles. And then we'll have Jeff on, and it'll be better. But for today, this is what we got. We're pulling out all the stops for you, Jeff.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I get the free version treatment. As I roll,
I felt so bad. I'm like,
comic collection.
Well, we canceled it like last week or 2 weeks ago, and then we scheduled. We planned to do this, and I'm like, oh crap, we don't even have the paid version. It's just And Streamlabs has a learning curve, so we haven't had time to really dive in and make sure it works well. But eventually,
it's okay. I'm not hurt.
We'll get there. But anyway, without further ado, that was a long intro. This is Jeff Morris, the writer of True Believer, as said in his little card there. And we are going to celebrate the launch of True Believer, his first comic book. It's almost 10:30. When do you want to press that button? I figured we could press the button.
So
magic button.
Chris, I'm gonna break your heart. I already
pressed
it. I already did.
Oh, you already did it.
Because my buddy in Seattle, Travis, was like, I want to be the first backer. So he was bugging me. So I just went and hit it. But
all good.
Man, I'm jacked. It already has more money than I expected, and that's the fact. It's always kind of, you don't know how the response is going to be. So people have.
Well, you had a nice set of followers. You had over 100. You had like 109, which is fantastic start. So I think the average is like 30% tends to actually turn out, which even then is a nice maybe day one start for you. So yeah, hopefully you have a good boost. But Thank you. Since Jeff, I can't say that on YouTube. Since Jeff pressed the button early, I think everyone knows where my mind went there. Let's just, if you'd like to, you can actually, you should have all access to share.
Yeah, you just want me to go through the page?
Why don't you take helm? Because I've had moments where I have someone else do it, and I'm like, no, go back up. So feel free to present, and we can take a look. But it is live right now, True Believer.
Yeah.
By Jeff Morris. Awesome.
Well, thanks for everyone who's joining us. Really appreciate it. And I don't know if you record these, Chris, but whoever watches it back. Yeah. So I don't know if everybody can see that right now.
Hold on. Let me bring it up. And boop. At the stage. All right, True Believer.
And actually, you know what? It may be better to just go to the regular version. You know what I'm saying? You
have to like sign out, because if you're signed in and it's your book, it'll automatically bring up the left part. I know what you mean.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to incognito this, but
okay. Let me remove that. Let's let Jeff have a minute. But yeah, if you just do a random browser and open it up.
Okay, cool. Let me redo that. Sorry for the technical stuff.
You're okay.
To everyone. So we're going to stop screen, and then we're going to go incognito mode with this. The only time that tab is ever used.
I'm sure.
Okay.
Uncharted territory here. He has no idea.
There you go. What will be discovered? Okay, can you all see that okay?
Just brought it up. You're good.
Wow. So this is exciting. Yeah, this is like a first off, like this is a project that I've been working on really for 5 years. And it's not because I'm like a slow worker because of lack of desire. It's really honestly, as anyone who's made comics, and Chris well knows, like making comics, especially if you're a writer, costs money, right? It's not free. And Chris and I have that same commitment to want to have quality comics as well. And the biggest thing I say is like, hey, I'm a writer and I pour my heart and soul to my stories. But at the end of the day, the thing that is going to make people want to read my comics is the art, right? That's always going to be the thing that speaks to people the most. And I'm a big believer in visual storytelling. When I write my scripts, I try to write them so that the panels themselves can tell the stories and that the words exist, the captions exist just to elevate what's on the page. So, it took 5 years, but I really believe I found artists who, took these stories to heart, made it their own, and really kind of took it to the emotional levels that we needed it to go, because this is a collection about grief. And so all these stories are based on my personal life. And so I can get into that in a second, but we can just look at the cover that Dennis Menhiri created. He's done work for Image and other ones. He's Ringo nominated, and I met him. He did a comic called Dirt Mountain with me, and he did this cover for us that kind of encapsulates 3 of the stories that are in this collection and the 3 kind of main characters there, and did an amazing job on the cover. I had some people had a chance to read it beforehand and got some really good praise from people, and that was really affirming and encouraging to see that people were emotionally moved by these stories. I love Fellhound's quote here, where she says, "I've read these stories and they had me sobbing. Some of the most gently moving stuff I've ever read." So I didn't pay her to say that at all. So
what he meant by comics are expensive is when you have to pay the reviewers.
Exactly.
It's a big expense. People don't talk about it.
But just to know, like, fellow creators that I respect, really emotionally resonated with these stories, it just means the world to me as a writer, that I could accomplish that through my stories. So just really got to have that. And so the inspiration of this whole collection starts with the loss of my dad. He passed away. I don't like to say passed away, like he died in front of me of cardiac arrest. And so it was a really traumatic event because it was just me and him there. And, he died in that moment. And so years and years go by, and I just didn't really process kind of that moment. And it wasn't until 2019 when I did my first comic, Paper Champion, where here's a panel right here where it kind of reenacts that scene that I was experiencing. And it connects to when I later became a wrestler and started wrestling. I started having memories of my dad and I wrestling when we were young in the living room while we would watch WWF. And so we would watch wrestling when I was young. Eventually, I decided to become an indie wrestler myself. And during that wrestling process, I just started working through kind of that loss that I felt and missing him and kind of working through those feelings. And so that first comic really kind of set me on this path of just like, hey, comics can be used to help you work through emotional struggles, to ask questions that maybe you're too afraid to ask. And, hopefully find some answers or find some comfort. And so from Paper Champion, I worked with Dennis, who did the cover on Dirt Mountain. And that examined kind of really kind of questioning, when people die and you don't get to say goodbye to them, wanting for that kind of last moment with somebody that you've lost, those last words that you never get. And so we have this girl who creates this mountain and wants the mountain to come to life, but I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, don't spoil it.
He may or may not come to life. There's this nice page that might spoil it and relate
but it's just too good though.
Yeah, I talked to Dennis. He's like, dude, just show that. Because I'm like, it's such a great page.
And there's so much more to it. Yeah, like he said, I've been lucky enough to read all the stories as well. And it's a nice, just full story. So like this doesn't spoil anything, but it's just you need to see this kind of stuff because it's a gorgeous story.
Yeah, thank you for that, Chris. Yeah, and you don't know why Dirt Mountain's coming to life, and a lot of that is Dirt Mountain has to kind of help her process what's happened in the story. And for me, it represented a lot of aspects of like faith. I grew up as like a kind of evangelical Christian, and I had a lot of questions, and the kind of classic questions of why does God like allow things to happen, like people to die and suffering. And so in a certain way, this was me working through some of those things of losing people suddenly and unexpectedly. And so Dirt is, in my mind, not to put it on the readers, but it's kind of, if you are coming from a faith background, you could kind of see that as a symbol in the story. If not, that could be just a tool to work through grief. So love that story, and that's actually how Chris and I connected, was through that story. And
I saw that once again, like you said, people get connected to art, and that's what it was. I saw this, and I was like, it's beautiful. I love the art. Obviously, I know that you work kind of symbiotically with the writer as an artist, so it's not just a one-man team. So I wanted to reach out to Jeff because it looked fantastic, but the art, it was just so enticing. That's how we met. I immediately reached out to Jeff. I was like, this is beautiful.
And Dennis was the perfect fit because it's not showing it here. I know we'll have like a preview up on Comixology that will show a little bit more, but the colors were so intentional and such an important part of the story to shift the mood and shift kind of the scene. So it looks kind of like bright and calming here, but it gets kind of dark at certain points.
Sure does.
And really this character is walking through the process of grief. So we wanted the colors to really make you feel at a visceral level, like walking through those emotions and those stages of grief. And I think Dennis really kind of accomplished that amazingly. Just so grateful to work on it with him. And then the latest comic that I worked on was True Believer with Daniel Romero, and Chris was able to help me edit this as well. And so thank you so much, Chris, for being a part of this process and helping me through that. And this one was really, I always wanted to make a Christmas comic, but not just a Christmas comic, one examining like grief at the holidays, because I just remember, especially after losing my dad and then later on my stepdad, unexpectedly, just that first Christmas is so difficult, right? And you're used to having traditions with that person. You're used to kind of the routines, and they make a certain breakfast or whatnot. And so this was kind of my ability to work through, like, how do you do the holidays when you don't know if somebody's coming back, right? You want them to come back. You're hoping they come back, right? If they're gone, but I'm trying not to spoil it here, but
it's so easy to spoil. So I do the same thing. I was like, I'm just not going to talk about it.
I know it's kind of hard, but essentially this is kind of like a missing person story in a lot of ways. And so a brother finds out that his sister that he grew up, they were kind of growing up in a single parent home, that as she becomes adult and has children, she goes missing. And it's getting close to Christmas, and her children, which are his nieces, are asking like, when's mom coming home for Christmas? And so the story is about hoping that she can return and believing that she can return, but also trying to leave space for, well, what if she's not coming home? What do we do then? And so this story was a lot about if you've exhausted all means of hope, what's left, right? What do you have? If hope of somebody's return is not an option, what do you do, especially at the holidays, to remember them? And especially if you have young children involved, how do you help them process grief? And so this story is a lot about that, about processing grief, especially as a child, and if you're a parent, helping children process grief. And then the last story is Paper Champion, like I described before. That was the first one I wrote. And that was actually based on my wrestling career. And there's scenes in here where the character starts to see his dad in the audience who has passed away. And I didn't literally see my dad when I was wrestling, but I did have a lot of moments when I would look out in the crowd and wish that he was there to see me, like win a tag team championship or win, a singles belt or whatever. And so that's kind of bringing up a lot of those feelings. And it's really encapsulating this last caption of, I just wish you could be here to see me. That, you're looking in the crowd thinking that, the person you lost, the dad that you grew up watching wrestling with, would be there to root for you when you're in this championship match. And, but he's not there. So I like the stories that kind of put you in a place with like the hardest parts of grief, but try to find some level of comfort and hope, because I think ultimately that's what I want to leave readers with, is that there is hope, that there is a way to move forward. But to get there, we've got to go through the dark stuff first, right? We've got to go through the pain of loss, and it's just, there's no way around it. It just hurts, right?
Yeah.
And so I hope all these stories kind of touch on the different stages of grief, the different processes of grief in a way that feels real to people, that they can see themselves in these stories. And here's just kind of our rewards. We have a digital copy, digital deluxe, and print version. The digital deluxe is going to have a lot of cool behind the scenes stuff with kind of seeing the script to the page and how that process works, and also some more kind of background info on my life of what inspired these stories. And then we have an awesome print version that I can't wait to get in people's hands. It's going to be beautiful. And the team kind of already pointing out, Dennis and Daniel and George and Micah Myers did the lettering, amazing Ringo nominated letterer, and colorist Emily, she did for Paper Champion. And last thing is BentBox Comics. I put the BentBox Promise on there.
I was going to ask if you were interested in doing that.
I was more than interested. There's Chris O'Hara right there. Look at that handsome devil there.
I said this so many times lately. I was like, I need a better mugshot. It's terrible. I don't take pictures of myself. I'm sorry, guys. I'm from a generation where we didn't do this very often, or anything like that. We tend to hide from cameras, so it's different. But I do need a new one for sure.
It's okay. But I really love what you wrote about the BentBox Comics, which is essentially, we value human creativity, and there's just something so special when us as human beings can collaborate and create authentic art, and AI stands in direct rejection of that, and I would say actively seeks to destroy that. And so I'm so glad that you have a firm statement against AI, and no AI was ever used at all in this process or would ever be considered. And so I love that statement and wanted to put that in.
Good. Thank you.
For this a little bit. Thank you.
All right. Well, that was True Believer. It looks good. The campaign looks great. I didn't get a preview of it, so that was my first time seeing it as well. And I think it looks good. I will say one thing I was going to say, and I'm glad I didn't have like a talk with you beforehand, mainly because there's typically like this idea in Kickstarter where you show all the art first, basically, hey everybody, pretty picture. Like you kind of like get their attention with that, and then you give them a little text, not a lot, because people don't like reading. Sure. And then, like that's the format for a Kickstarter. But I will say that having read all the books or all the stories, they needed it. They need like that, heartstring connection to each one. They needed a little snippet before it, that kind of deal. So it was important. And I think that when people see it, it'll help connect them more. So it looks good. Really good.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Will the digital version be a PDF? Adam had a question, or will it be on platform like Global Comics?
Adam, thanks for sticking with us and listening to my long monologue there. I really appreciate it a lot. I hope I can connect with you more in the future or at a con, because you seem like a cool person. It will be a high-res digital PDF, and then the deluxe digital, which is only $10, so $3 more than the regular. That'll have 10 extra pages with never before seen behind the scenes character designs, kind of showing the process. So if you're at all interested in how the process of kind of bringing comics together is made, I love stuff like that. It's kind of like a DVD commentary, almost like back in the day. So I love kind of peeling back the curtain a little bit. So that would be that. But great question.
Cool. Now Jeff and I can talk about this later, but like what I did with Artificial 2 and Artificial 1, mainly because we do enjoy working with Global Comics. And like Jeff said, we'll have a preview probably by the end of today, because I have to get it kind of formatted and stuff, or make sure everything looks good on the platform. By the end of the day, we'll have a nice little preview on Global Comics that will be linked straight to the Kickstarter, so it's easy for people to bada bing, bada boom. And the other thing, though, is Artificial 1 and 2, what I did was I sold the PDF. So that was the digital version, was the PDF. So like if you backed for digital, you got the link to the PDF. But in that email, and I can show Jeff, this is behind the scenes, guys. Underneath the link, there was like a section like, here is also a single-use code for you to have it on Global Comics as well. So basically, I gave them both to allow people to have two ways to read it. So like they can have it on their computer, and then if they're like, all right, I really want it easily accessible on my phone or whatever, then they can just download the code, use the code, and it's a free access to it on Global Comics.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something we can talk more specifics, but that's definitely something I want to be open to, because I love Global Comics. Yeah, and if that's kind of the platform that you're reading stuff, the app you're reading stuff, definitely don't want to create a barrier. Want to make it as accessible as possible to people who are back in the campaign.
Sweet. Yeah, we try. Yeah, that was my thing, is just let's give them as many options to read it as possible, especially if it's digital.
Yeah.
As much bells and whistles as you can provide someone is nice. I mean, the digital deluxe idea is great. I need to start doing that more often. But yeah, that's a good idea. So we'll probably have it on both, or in some capacity.
And I will say this really quick, Chris. If we do reach the goal, I do have some really fun add-on or stretch goals.
Sweet.
To add, including since we have the Christmas theme story, potentially like maybe Christmas ornaments, maybe True Believer themed Kleenexes that has been suggested. And also doing kind of an indie comics bundle as well from other creators who are trying to tell more of those autobiographical, emotionally kind of resonant stories, but from creators that I, respect and value. And so if we reach those stretch goals, people would just, essentially get those for free as that. So
sweet.
We'll see what happens.
Stretch goals have been announced-ish.
Just not putting up there yet, because
smart.
I'm being cynical, but
I don't think you'll have a problem. Like I said, you're one of those people who was smart, played the slow game, and you have a nice following, and people really support your work and care about some of the things that you create. So I think you're gonna not really have an issue getting this thing funded. I'm knock on wood, obviously, but I have high hopes for it. It looks great, so I'm not sweating.
Thank you.
But yeah, so that is True Believer. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Not really. That's pretty much it. If anyone has any question, this will obviously go up. This is live right now, but it'll be on our YouTube channel. So I'll make sure to kind of like push it every couple of days as like a, hey, background info by Jeff Morris into True Believer. See if we can get some more eyes on it. And then I'll probably be sending out an email blast to all of our BentBox subscribers soon.
Awesome.
To go back it as well, which is like, it's like 500 people or so far. So that might help with a little bump. We'll see. I mean, who knows? I don't know.
No,
we'll see.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I love these. Adam's back. I love these streams with other writers. Bring me content I would likely
Adam, thanks for checking out.
Heard otherwise. Definitely. Yeah. Appreciate it, Adam.
Yeah, and we'll have, like Chris said, we'll have a preview on Global Comics, so you'll be able to get a lot more of the context of the stories, and kind of see some of the diversity in there, but also kind of the through line of the grief journey. So really appreciate you checking that out.
Yeah. All right. Well, good. I'm going to end the stream, and we'll call it a day. And Jeff and I will have a little chat afterwards. But that's for us only.
It's like
Everyone else,
OnlyFans for
it's the
commentators.
Yeah, give me more money and you can listen to us talk crap about each other because that's probably
Two
what's gonna
bald
happen.
dudes with beards with glasses, right?
You're gonna want to see it. It's not something you see very often. I'm not gonna lie. It's very unique. I definitely don't see 1,000 of me a day.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you all so
I'm
much.
Chris with BentBox. Jeff, go get the True Believer on Kickstarter right now, please.
Thank you so much.
You won't regret it. All right, bye. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
In stream, there's an awkwardness after I press the button, and